Solar power is a fast-growing part of the world's energy supply. It's going to be vital in helping us tackle the threats of climate change. But some people have reservations about the impacts of solar on our nature and on our food supply. This video looks at how solar can work with biodiversity and at how farming and solar can deliver a win-win solution for our countryside, for our communities and for our climate.
It's now clear that solar power is going to be the critical energy supply technology of the 21st century. If we're to address climate change, we have to move towards a fully renewable energy systems, and globally solar power has the biggest resource and is the cheapest technology. So that means that it's going to be deployed at scale. Costs are going to keep coming down, which is going to make it more and more economic, even in countries like the UK, where people might think, well, it's not particularly sunny.
Solar is about to grow very rapidly across the world in the UK, so we expect there's going to be a five-fold increase of solar between now and 2035.
A five-fold increase sounds like quite a scary thing to some people. What would the impacts be in terms of land use in the UK?
Across the whole of the country, it's still a very small amount of land being used for solar. Even if we reach those 70 gigawatt targets, we're talking about less than 0.5% of all land area in the country.
So how can we encourage developers to develop really high quality practice on biodiversity at solar farms?
Solar energy is a land-based power source, and so therefore we're not just part of the energy sector, we're part of the land management sector. So we found anecdotally that we're already seeing improvements in biodiversity in solar parks. What we're doing now is starting an annual survey with the work of teams of ecologists across the country to demonstrate how much biodiversity improvements are being put in place by the industry. What we will do with that data is not only improve nature recovery, but also we will use that to inform our best practice guides, which we then advise the industry about how to improve the land management on their sites to maximise biodiversity.
Over the last 10 or so years, the interest from the industry has rapidly increased, and lots of people across a range of companies are now really engaging with biodiversity enhancements at their parks. The Solar Park Impacts on Ecosystem Services Toolkit is a decision support tool to help developers and operators and owners of solar parks work out how best to manage them for ecosystem services for biodiversity, so they're as positive places as possible for ecology, as well as providing low carbon electricity. We've done several surveys of solar parks across the country now, looking at impacts on vegetation, soil and insects. One study's looked at over 35, another looking at 15, another at 10, so we've been to quite a few sites now. All sites are different in terms of the solar park design, the soil and the management.
Some people are saying that increasing solar power in the UK is going to have a negative impact on our food security.
So I think I would dispute that there's any significant impact on food security. Total UK land area is about 24 million hectares, and agriculture is about 3/4 of that. So we have 18 million hectares of agricultural land in the UK. Today's capacity of solar farms covers only about 18,000 hectares, so that's 0.1% of our agricultural area. And even if we saw a big upswing in the deployment of solar farms, we don't think that would ever get to more than about 4 times what we have today. It's still 0.4% of total agricultural area in the UK. That's not going to be impacting on our food security.
Climate change poses a huge threat to birds and to wildlife more generally, and we see the expansion of solar as being one of the ways that we can address climate change. So we support the rollout of solar. That's our position. Sites need to be planned correctly, so they need to be planned properly. That's the key number one thing. In the first place, they need to be sited away from areas that are sensitive to nature. So that's the number one thing. And then the second thing is actually managing sites so that they're done for nature and follow biodiversity best practice.
There's likely to be a big expansion of solar power in Britain over the next 15 years. How can we make sure that communities get the maximum benefit from that expansion?
Net zero will simply not be possible without people involved. First of all, they have to consent to it, and secondly, they have to be actively involved in the solutions, which are both on the demand side, reducing what we need to the essentials, and then maximising sustainable generation of energy. The way of getting people involved is to give them a genuine stake, some kind of ownership, not consultation, but the ability to own, the ability to participate, volunteer, connect with and be involved with projects on the ground that bring real benefit to them locally. In other countries, they have been diversifying their energy system for much longer. In Germany, they own lots of the local grids. In Denmark, a lot of the heat has been decarbonised at local levels. We need more of that. We need to get away from the sort of centralised mentality that we still have in this country about energy. When you involve communities, you involve people particularly who care about their local area, people who get out and do. Those people can bring the genius of the community, the hive mind, many different expertises, many different friends to volunteer. They're out and about, they're present, they're dog walking in the area, so they can, as it were, monitor and enable the project to be better year on year.
The exciting things about doing the solar farm, other than being community owned and being renewable, was the opportunity to improve the biodiversity on what is a very large arable area here. So that's really exciting. That was great. Moving forwards, I think we need to look at how we farm to develop systems which aren't separating out biodiversity from farming, but that's a challenge which various people are working on. But clearly having a block of 25 acres which is undisturbed and you can plant wildflowers and people aren't around, dogs aren't around, it's great for the hares, it's great for birds, it's great for insects, so it's a great opportunity. Wildflowers, grasses is enormous benefit to biodiversity locally.
We hope that this video has helped you understand more about the issues around solar power, biodiversity and farming. This is going to be an issue that's going to develop and grow over the next decade. If you want to know more about it, check out the Westmill Sustainable Energy Trust website, www.weset.org.